Right, we're live, but I'm going to have to go this way, not the other way.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second meeting of the Thetford Sovereign Council. I'd like to thank the volunteers for coming forward, the representatives, and taking the place at the table and representing the people in sovereignty, not in the corporation. So what we're going to do quickly for the secretary who's sitting in the audience, we're just going to have a quick roll call of who's here. So myself, Mark Taylor.
Carl Saker. Alan Fulbrook.
Barbara Dale.
Zach Marquez.
And Jeff Mealing.
So I'd like to thank the sovereign representatives in Thetford who's come forward to represent the people tonight. We're still playing around with a bit of an oath of allegiance, but we haven't got quite far enough with that yet to do anything. We will say something where we're standing for the people. And we always have one who forgets to turn his phone on, so
Apologies.
we'll forgive him for that. Yeah.
Where's me?
Like declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interests, again, because a lot of people are new here, that's if anything is on the agenda you're involved with from a business point of view, you have to declare now that you have, and you will have to leave the meeting on that point. But I don't think anybody's got any pecuniary interest in anything on the agenda, no. That's good. Apologies for absence. I've received apologies for absence from Rob. What's Rob's surname? But he can't make it tonight. But he has said that he's awfully sorry, but he's still at work. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is just we've all seen the minutes. We've all got a copy of the minutes, and we all agreed that the minutes were a true representation of what happened on the inaugural council meeting that we had here. Everybody happy?
Yep.
Thanks very much. Okay. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about then is the conduct of the Thetford Town Council meeting. There's a couple of us in here that went to the last Thetford Town Council meeting. Now, when we set up the Sovereign Council, the idea was that we would go to the full council meeting of the elected councillors in Thetford, find out what their agenda items are, what they plan to do within the town, and ask them questions. We would then come back to this forum that we have here, talk about what's happening at the town council, what we think is in the best interest for the people, formulate some questions, and then go back to the next step for town council meeting at the end of the month and ask questions based on what we've come up with here. Would you all agree with that?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so that is the idea, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to just bring up what I thought about the last full elected Thetford Town Council meeting. Now, the councillors, when they're presenting, instead of talking to the public like we're trying to do to you tonight and anybody who's watching on the camera, what they did was they only spoke to themselves. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. It was them. It was all about the table.
Now, as the councillors speak about agenda items, they only speak to themselves. We can't hear them. We can't hear what they're saying. And when we ask them to speak up or try and speak to the actual public who are there, it tends to fall on deaf ears. They don't actually pick up the volume, and they don't actually start speaking to us. They carry on in that mode of they're only speaking to themselves, which I think is really out of order for the elected councillors. It seems to be that the council meeting is only for them, not for the public. That's the first thing I wanted to say before I get your point of view on it. We're only allocated 15 minutes. Now, if somebody speaks, one character there had three pages of paperwork, and by the time he'd spoken, he took up 6, 7, 8 minutes of our time. So somebody can go in there, I think it's called filibustering, they can go in there and filibuster for 6 or 7 minutes, which stops the concerned public from actually asking a question. So I don't know if that's planned, but that's something that needs looked at as well. that is the thing I'm really concerned about. We only get the 15 minutes. We can't ask questions at the district level, which to us is Breckland. And I did find out, even though Councillor Jeremy had told me that we can ask questions at the county level, another county councillor informed us, would you agree, Zach,
Yeah,
that
that's
we
it.
are not allowed to ask questions at the county level.
That's right. Yeah.
So at the minute, from our elected representatives, we have 15 minutes at a town council meeting where they have no power. Also, before I open it up to the floor, I'd just like to say, this is what we were confronted by at the last town council meeting. Those of you who weren't there, I'll read it out for you. Matters of note during the public open forum. We welcome questions from the public on matters that relate to the rules and responsibilities of Thetford Town Council. Some Thetford Town councillors are also on Breckland Council and Norfolk County Council. Whilst they represent residents in Thetford, this is independent of Thetford Town Council. When attending Thetford Town Council meetings, the Breckland and the county people do not represent Breckland Council or Norfolk County Council, and therefore cannot answer for and on behalf of these councils. Now what that means is that we only get 15 minutes to speak to our elected representatives. Because at the town level there is no power, it means that if we try and get something from the district and the county councillors, what they're saying is that they're not prepared really to answer anything that the public's got to say. But the only forum that we actually have to ask questions is at the town council. So I personally think the whole thing stinks, and they don't want to hear anything from the public. I'd just like to know if anybody's got any views.
Can I just add in, you mentioned about the county council first. What is the reason behind you not being able to raise a question at the county council?
It's just not in their format. So
Right.
the way we can actually turn up at Thetford and ask a question, you can't do that at county.
Yeah.
There may be a proviso where you can put in a written question, Jeff,
Yeah.
but then again, you know, that just can be poo-pooed, can't it?
So it must be each different area or region has their own rules then. Because other places,
Yeah.
you know, allow that at county level. Yeah.
And I've seen that, yeah. But that just means that people in Breckland and in county and in the town are not able to ask any hard-hitting questions of where the power is based and where the responsibility is, which is at the district and at the county.
They do it at the European Council.
Well, exactly, yeah.
If they still do it,
Yeah,
so why is it at county level?
we don't know, but that's one thing that I think at the next,
Yes.
at the next town council meeting, I think we've got to ask some hard-hitting questions about their policy. Yeah, I agree with that.
So you also mentioned obviously about well, obviously the last council meeting you went to, that they had people asking questions for, because some of them do down at the council meetings, I've been to the Thetford ones, they tend to have long questions to fill out the time, don't they? So,
Yes.
so, I mean, to me, that is a little bit of a ploy, but even though it's live on camera, you know.
No, it
But
could,
we've got a,
it could be a ploy
yeah,
to stop, to
yeah,
pad out the 15
yeah,
minutes
that's right,
in order not to have any of the
Yeah.
councillors put under pressure.
yeah,
And then the fact that the district councillors and the county councils then, from what we're saying now, they're not prepared to answer any questions, just so the public knows. They don't want to answer any questions about what they're doing at the county and the district level, at the town level, which is the only chance we get to ask questions. So the whole thing, I think,
it's a fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is wrong, because I mean, if we're not being able to answer questions at Breckland or county level, and the town council were only limited on what questions we can ask, and obviously sometimes the feedback, they're not even interested in what we're saying.
No.
It's
No,
all,
not at
it's a complete farce, so it's just as well we set up this Southern Council.
It has to be done.
So,
the other thing that I took notice of is it's when the 15-minute point comes, what the chairman actually says is, like, that's 15 minutes and there's no more questions, and he moves on
yeah.
with the council meeting. He doesn't actually say, is there any more questions there by the public? It's just cut off at 15 minutes like the old one in scared.
If a question is asked by one of us, what's the turnaround time they've got to
That's interesting, that, Alan, because if you ask a complex question
Yes.
and it's a complex answer,
Yeah.
in effect, what it means is they manage the 15 minutes by closing down any more potential questions.
Yeah.
Which then causes frustration amongst the public. And, you know, as we've seen at the last one, if anybody watches the live meeting, people are actually getting up and asking questions during the meeting when they're not supposed to,
Yeah.
because the question they were going to ask, which they weren't allowed to, it then gets mentioned on an agenda item and they haven't been able to ask a question, and people get frustrated and it causes animosity within the meeting.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's-
I mean, how long they've been doing these 15 minutes for? Was it half an hour before? Is there a chance we can have a look into this and say, I think now people are taking more interest in on things. Can we go back to something that was before? I mean, obviously we need to be pushing for more anyway, but people turning up now.
Well,
You know.
it was quite fascinating, and I'll speak about this on an agenda item later. There's plans to move the Thetford Town Council to another venue.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that the new venue, the move to it, was given is that there's more people now coming to the Thetford Town Council to ask questions. But what we tried to say, and we couldn't, is it doesn't matter how many people turn up if you've only got 15 minutes to
That's
ask
it.
questions. So the reason given, or one of the reasons given for the move of the Town Council to a bigger venue, it doesn't stand scrutiny anyway.
No.
Because if 30 people turn up to ask questions, they're not going to get them all in 15 minutes. So I did find that strange that that was brought up. So that happened. Are you happy for me to speak about excess debt?
Get it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's big.
Because Andrew Bridgham, the MP, he tabled a motion in Parliament Friday before last about the excess debt. And hardly any MPs turned up to that. I think it was about 12 elected MPs turned up. Now we know the last time he spoke, he virtually spoke to an empty chamber. So prior to that, I sent this email to Liz Truss. I am getting in touch in order to insist that our local MP, Liz Truss, attends the debate in Parliament tomorrow in respect to the very high excess debt rate that we now suffer here in the UK and indeed Norfolk. Local constituents are questioning me about this subject as they value my opinion as an ex-councillor. Mrs Truss needs to attend the debate on behalf of her constituents, listen to the current facts and figures relating to this subject, and then after taking stock, report back with her findings and solutions to this problem. If she fails to attend, I personally will be calling, as will other concerned members of the public, for her to be put on notice for not stopping any future deaths and also being involved in the aiding and abetting of these deaths. And I signed that faithfully, Mark Taylor. Now that went to Liz Truss's office. I did get an answer back, and she didn't turn up at the Andrew Bridgham questioning. So basically, when we had the last council meeting at the Thetford level, this was the question I asked to the elected councillors at the Thetford level. The Office of the OECD and the Office of National Statistics have declared an excessive death rate of 36,316 above the national average, and that was roughly the same in 21 and 22, which was higher than during COVID in 2020. Conservative Andrew Bridgham debated to an empty chamber in Parliament on Friday, and I told him that I'd emailed Liz Truss with the last email that I just read out to you. I then asked the council what they thought about Liz Truss not turning up, who's our elected MP, to that debate, and I asked them what influence they could bring to bear through whichever party they're on whatever level council they're on, to Liz Truss to get an answer for the people of Norfolk on why she didn't attend the debate. And basically that fell on deaf ears. That fell on deaf ears, and basically all I got was one quick statement from the chairman telling me that it was not to do it then because it was the town council, which is where you can see where the district councillors and the county councillors who can bring pressure to bear didn't want to answer that question. So I wasn't happy with that. I got closed down. I couldn't ask a supplementary. So I'll just let you know, the audience know what we've now done as a sovereign council. This is for the audience. Every Thetford town councillor and every Thetford town councillor, whatever their party, and the deputy clerk who chaired the meeting has got this by registered post today from our sovereign council, and I'll just read out what it says for anybody who doesn't know. Dear councillor, and there's 18 of them, at the last Thetford Town Council meeting convened in the Council Carnegie building on the 24th of October, a very important question was asked by a member of the public during the 15-minute period allocated to them. The question was in relation to the excessive UK death rate confirmed by both the British Office of National Statistics and the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. These figures are so high that it prompted Andrew Bridge-Mempe to request an adjournment debate in the UK Parliament on Friday the 20th of October to expose the unexpected mortality rates that are presently not being spoken about. The member of the public informed you as councillors that he had requested our own Member of Parliament, Conservative Elizabeth Truss, attend this debate and report back to the people of Thetford with their findings and potential solutions to this dangerous rise in the death rate, because it is affecting people in Norfolk. I'm speaking to them daily. Mrs Truss did not take part in the debate and has so far not explained her non-attendance. The Thetford councillors were asked if they would agree, where they can, to put pressure on Mrs Truss at the town, district, county and individual political party levels in order to gain her acknowledgement of the problem and further research this clear and present danger to the people of Norfolk. The council on the whole remained silent to this question and did not agree on the way forward or the forming of an action plan to combat the rise in excessive deaths. Because of this, I must now inform councillor, and every one of them's got their personal name attached after that, that you are being put on notice for your non-action in relation to this matter, and also state that you will be held responsible in your personal capacity for any future avoidable deaths associated with this non-action. Yours sincerely, Mark Taylor, on behalf of members of the Thetford Sovereign Council. So everybody got that on the Town Council by registered post today, and we're letting them know that if anybody needs to take legal action in the future, based on the statistics that are coming out now, that they have not done anything about it, they have not agreed to get in touch with our MP, and they have not agreed to lobby anybody, which is in effect, is putting them down as part of the blame. So the people of Thetford need to know that they're being on there.
Can I just add to that, if you remember, a year and a half ago, I know the councillors have changed, but there's probably a good, well over half a dozen over there when we put them on notice with the Pfizer document.
Yes, yeah.
So that as an additional to this, we've already put them on notice. There's probably about 7 or 8 maybe there, still 9 there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they have been put on notice to the Pfizer document that I'll just reiterate quickly. That was done in December 2020 through to end of February 2021. 3 months, 40,000 people on the trial of Pfizer, and 33%, which is about 13,300 odd, had bad adverse reactions. The actual document is about 6 or 7 pages at the back with various different, some not so serious, but mainly a lot of it is serious. And 1,200 died. So consequently, they released the vaccine a month later, when really it should have been stopped, complete, and we would not have been in this mess. But that was one of the Pfizer documents that was supposedly to be held for 75 years amongst other documents.
Yes.
There was a big bundle, wasn't there? But they'd someone done a Freedom of Information request and released that document. And as I collect lots of documents, I swiped on that one. So, but just to add, like I say, what Mark said about this, that's putting them on notice there with that, and obviously with that Pfizer document, we can reiterate that when we need to challenge it.
Yeah, I think we'll all agree, we spoke about it at the first meeting, that the media is being dumbed down, the media is not actually telling the people what is going on. We're all aware that the documentation is there. The documentation is there. I think as the documentation does start to leak out and people realise that things were known and their public representatives did nothing about it, that will open them up to legal action. What we have to do as the Sovereign Council, we have to get the source documents with the information on, make the council, the elected councillors aware of the information. If they then do not do anything about that information, they in effect become culpable.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And this is where we've got to educate, I think, the public to the fact.
Could we print documents
The documents, yeah.
I did,
for and leave them at the next?
I did at the
Town council
time with the
meeting.
Pfizer
Yeah,
one, I
yeah,
handed
yeah.
them to the
Yeah.
people of the council. Yeah, so,
No, I think that's a good point, and through the platform that we have,
Yeah.
and the platform of our action see tonight, I think if we can get, I'll get the source documents for what I've just mentioned.
and
If
I'll
you get your documents again, and we'll put them on the platform so people can see what information was out there that was hidden from them.
Yeah.
Would we all agree with that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Spot on, why did that?
Yes, we'll do that then. But basically, that is, get back to you. So basically, that is what was happening at the town council meeting. One other thing that came out, the Labour contingent voted through on a motion the plan to shut King's House. They've decided they're not going to have any more meetings at King's House in the near future, and they think that's going to give them a saving of £10,000. However, I am hearing rumours that £10,000 will not be a saving, because there's a plan to use the other Thetford Town Council buildings as part of some sort of trust, which will cost more money. I don't know about that, I'm still trying to get information. But that is what they've decided to do, is to shut King's House for meetings. One of the councillors did dissent against it and was asking about where all the history would go. There's a lot of history in King's House. Thetford's a very old council. All the pictures of the old mayors, lots of paraphernalia. They don't seem to have thought, the Labour contingent don't seem to have thought through what we're going to do with that aspect. Now that aspect is very, very important. But that was what came out there. They are planning to, but we need to dig further on what the further plan is. I keep hearing these rumours of the town council being changed into some sort of trust. And some people are saying to me, we will be renting our own buildings off the trust.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out who's going to run the trust.
Whose main idea was that? Was that a collaborated idea then about the?
No, that's from the Labour contingent, as far as I'm aware.
Isn't that what's happened with the Charles Borough Centre as well, though?
That is a trust, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't, was it?
No, it wasn't, but I think we've got to keep our eye on the ball and find out what the future plan
Yeah.
is for Thetford, because
Yeah.
as we know, most people just don't know what's happening, and all of a sudden it'll be a fait accompli.
Well put out, well put out.
Yeah, so we need to dig and find out where we can, because we know the town council won't give us any information on that. Is there any comments from the public on what you've heard so far on that agenda item? Everybody happy? Okay, if we then, so we're all happy on what we're going to do there.
Yeah,
Paperwork,
definitely.
we do paperwork, especially for the platform. Okay, the next thing on the agenda then is the Thetford Town allotments, which we spoke about last time. The only thing I've made inquiries about is something called the 1908 Allotment Act. I'm being very busy. I had a very, very quick look at it. It's quite a complex bit of legislation. But in the 1908 Allotment Act, it says that if 6 people or more get together, the council is duty bound to allocate an area for growing.
Yes.
Now, I just think if somebody who's a little bit more diligent than me at the minute, because I'm very busy, can get into that 1908 Allotment Act, they may find something in there that they can put up against the high levels of council who are trying to take that area away from the people of Thetford. I'll open up anybody got any.
Father-in-law is on a meeting that are being held at the allotment, so he's got an allotment there.
Yeah.
But whether he's aware of this act or not, but I'll pass it on.
Yeah, he needs
Get him to dig into it, yeah.
Yeah, I've had a look at it. It's quite complex, and then when you go into it, and I'm sure there'll be something in there that they can use against the council.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because at the minute, I think the high level councils are relying on people not being interested or
Yeah.
not doing
Is
anything.
that the Mumford Road one?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the way everything's going anyway, we're going to need space to start growing, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 6 signatures. I mean, yeah, good information for,
Yeah,
for the public to know that.
I'll get in touch.
definitely.
Yeah, so once we get some more information on that, we can start getting, groups of 6 people.
Yep.
Starting to apply pressure. Now what I did, I looked at the minutes of the last allotment meeting, and it seemed to be there was 4 or 5 places that Breckland had identified as potential places for replacement if Mumford gets moved. What concerned me is that the 3 people on the allotment meeting, who are all from one party, all agreed to cancel it down to 2 and only identify and look at 2 of the proposed Breckland sites. Now what that says to me is if they've got rid of some of the proposed sites and put it on a short list of 2, I think that the Labour majority on the council are already agreeing to not fight it.
This was the 3 was the all Labour. Is this the party that you was going
Yeah, there
about?
was they've gone down to what we call the quorum of 3 now on the committees. If there's only 3, they will actually vote on it. So they've voted to go down to a short list of 2. Where my thoughts, if I'd still been a councillor, is we're not going to look at a short list. We're going to fight to save our allotments.
100%, 100.
Is there any idea of where these places are?
No, it's there on the minutes. If you go on the minutes,
Right.
at the town, so Alan, if you can take the lead on that.
Yep, yep, yep.
You know, my head's everywhere at the
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, especially because you've got a link straight
Yes.
into the
Yep.
to the dissenting group. That,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've formed their own committee to fight it, but whether they're aware of this act or not.
No, but it could
Yeah.
open up a Pandora's
It could,
box for them
yes.
in a
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
way, you know.
Yeah.
So that's anybody around the table that needs on the allotment?
Yeah, I mean we've put out awareness for the Act 1939 to the council, so that's another thing. Going back to what we were saying earlier, they've been under notice with this as well. Been given notice with this, so
I think you should follow that up with an email
yeah,
to,
Makes
to,
sense.
to the town clerk and say you brought that up as a question and
definitely.
you want to know who's running with that. Because a question I asked 2 meetings ago, I've still not got an answer for.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that seems to be just that they're trying to just calm us down and saying I'll sort that out, but we don't get the answers, you know.
No.
Any comments from the public on the allotments? Is anybody, you're happy? You're happy what we had to say? Or make a bit of noise?
Yes.
But also when's the next part? Is it January? As far
Yeah,
as
the,
you're aware?
the next allotment meeting, committee meeting is not until January, which I
January.
find surprising because it's becoming probably one of the biggest hot potato subjects in town.
Big
So
time, yeah.
why they've relegated it to a 3 or 4 monthly slots is, I find it strange, you know. Yeah, the planned rise in rent to the red line where 60 jobs were in jeopardy. And the rent was going to go so high, Wetherspoons were looking at pulling out. I've not got it set in stone at the minute, but I have picked up information that Wetherspoons have settled with the town council. I think that the Labour contingent realised that losing 60 jobs would not be good for the town, and I've heard the rent's gone up, and everybody's happy, but I don't have any further information at the minute. So the good news is that the 60 jobs in Thetford
That's it.
have been saved.
The thing is that I don't think you're paying many good light, is it? Losing 60 jobs, I mean, it's,
No.
you know what I mean? It's not going to be conducive to what you're supposedly trying to help with the town.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
you
No,
know,
but what we do know is that rise in rent that the Labour majority were proposing, Wetherspoons would have pulled out the town and 60 jobs is
Yeah.
what I was informed we would have lost. So that is at least a bit of good news
yeah,
that they've
definitely.
they pulled back from the brink. Any other points on Wetherspoons? Anything from the public? Any comments on that? I know one of the members of the public and she spends a lot of time in there drinking, so I know he'll be happy. Right, what we got next? Anti-social behaviour within the town. It's getting bad. I spoke to the manager of the premises we're in right now before the meeting, and she's told the police that she's not happy with what's going on outside. You know, this is one of the premier locations in the town to bring people into the town, the Bell Hotel, you know, Jadzani and all that. And all we have all the time outside is gangs of marauding teenagers doing all kinds of. We know something's happened this week. I was told it was a stabbing, but somebody got severely assaulted. Somebody's been arrested, and I know the management of the hotels are not happy. But what can we do? I know from sitting on the council last time that we do have a public space protection order on the town, which should sort that out. But we don't seem to have the numbers of bobbies
Yeah, I haven't seen them for
on the
long.
beat coming in.
Haven't seen all summer. No one was in town.
It's you know, especially recently. I mean, about 10 days ago, where I live, which is just outside the city centre, I did see 2 bobbies on the beat, and I had a little bit of a laugh and a joke with them. But I would have preferred to see them at King Street and White Hart Street,
Yeah.
where all the trouble is, because these shop owners and these restaurant owners and the pub owners are just getting totally fed up at the minute. But we don't have the Safer Thetford Action Group meeting of the public until January. I'd like to see an emergency one pulled, and that's what I'll be pushing for at the next town council meeting, is an emergency meeting of the stag and get concerned people in and see what can be done. But it's not good out there at the minute, and it's not good for the businesses in town, and ultimately it's not good for the town. Any point?
It's just my son pointed out that the reason that the antisocial behaviour is on the rise is to hide or to get the police involved in dealing with that rather than county lines, which we all know is going on. So they're part of county lines, but they're not carrying the drugs. They're making a diversion so the drugs can be dealt. And that's apparently why the big rise is, because there's more drugs coming through Thetford.
So the police are damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
Yeah.
Is this drug related, this crime that's just happened, this serious crime?
We're not
Don't
sure.
know.
Does anyone know about it?
Don't
No.
know.
It would only be drug related
Yeah.
if they were there to cause the diversion because the big drug run was coming through.
Right, okay, yeah.
Which is a military strategy.
Yes.
And they're not that sure where. We don't know what the answer is, but I think if the people of Thetford turn up on an emergency stag meeting, there might be some good ideas and
Yeah.
some willing volunteers.
Yeah, yeah.
However, we don't want to get anybody in trouble. But
No, that's it, but we need to do the same, definitely.
I always make a joke at this point of Pakistani policemen for the audience. For anybody in the audience, just have a look at Pakistani policemen and what they carry. It's like a big stick whip. And when anybody's causing trouble, they just shake it around and everybody runs away, you know. So we could try and get a couple of them in the town, and that might just clear a bit of the trouble up.
Yeah, but
Yeah. That is a joke, by the way.
yeah.
I know it's not going to happen. We've got a member of the public there wants to say.
You know, what sort of youth projects have you got in Thetford? Because that's something that does work.
Yeah, that's the problem. As you know yourself, there's no money, we haven't got anything. I mean, if I win the lottery, my plan is to buy St Mary's Church and do something there for all the teenagers, climbing walls, everything, but there's nobody willing to put money into anything like that because there's no return. And there's no money from the council, there's no money from government. And that's why our kids are roaming the streets.
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example from my experience in Ipswich. When the boy got murdered back in 2018, I went out to the streets and spoke to a lot of young people, and I asked them, what can we, as community leaders, do to help you? And the 16-year-olds stepped forward and said, it's too late for us, you need to focus on the younger ones.
Yeah.
And that's the same kind of thing that I think you guys need to do here.
Yeah.
But it's not to forget the ones that cause the problems, but if you're going to solve the problems, you need to work from bottom up.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. I mean, what about the ballpark? I think this needs looking into as well, especially talking about the youth here, sort of a ballpark sitting there. I mean, early 2000s it's got put in place, thousands, no ends of thousands on it, and it's just sitting there, you know, overgrown.
It's not being used.
It's not being used. It's crazy, and with, you know,
Where's that?
the ballpark over St John's,
St John.
Cannons Walk, St John's
Right,
area,
yeah.
sitting there,
Yeah, the,
don't even think floodlights.
Yeah.
But just with the gentleman, just so you, I don't know your name, what's your name?
Terry Charles.
Terry Mark, yeah, I personally don't pay my council tax anymore. I am fed up paying money to councils that misuse my money. You know, we should have, in fact, this is my analysis, we should have our own Thetford money in a pot, and then we would have money to do the likes of what me and you are advocating. We'd have our own money, we'd know where the problem was, and we could go into our own pot through our own representatives and come up with a long-term plan for our own people. But we can't because we're giving our money
Up to the central government, it comes back down.
and it comes back down. Everybody's got a hand in the till, allegedly. And when we come up with a good idea, and there is good ideas down at our level, there's no money to do it. And unless you've got a rich businessman who will say, do you know what, I'm a good plump and I'll do that. You know, there is a few businessmen in town trying to do a few things, and you'll hear about that at the next meeting, but you're limited on what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too au fait around here, but there's added costs involved around here. It might be worth, I mean, I've done a lot of work for Addicroft back in the day. It might be worth contacting Addicroft and said they've got something, a project running. You know, I know they do a lot of stuff in Newmarket and Brandon, so it might be worth asking if there's any money to come out here.
But, you know, I mean, I'm an ex-military man, you can see yourself, you can't, you know, everything's, you know, they're all wrapped in cotton wool, you can't do anything, you can't get them out in the woods camping, you can't get them running across a river, you know, everything. There's not much legislation to stop you doing anything.
Everything's risk assessment.
Yeah. You know, there's nobody's got the kahunas to actually go against that. You know what I mean? So that is another problem. There's too much legislation stopping you from doing anything with the kids.
Purposely, though, isn't it?
It's purposely, yeah. But we need to fight that legislation, and we need to get these kids doing something which stops them hanging around, because they're just bored. You can see they're bored, you know.
At the last meeting, Mark Byford was saying about those grants that are available from the council. I know the date's passed now, but what sort of amounts could you get from them? Could you then put that towards doing the same for the kids?
Well, no, you're talking, I mean, the last grants I've seen in the local paper were £500 if you're lucky.
So they're only little?
Yeah, they're only little grants. You know, we need a long-term strategy with a long-term pot. To me, the only way we're going to get that pot is to have our own money.
Yeah.
It's no good relying on county, and it's no good relying on Breckland. You know, there's just no money, and our kids are just going to fester.
This start, if there's nothing else.
Yeah,
I think what, I mean, again, the project I'm involved with, we was tasked with reducing antisocial behaviour in Stowmarket, and that's a fair way from here.
Yeah.
But we was given a pot of money for 18 months in order to work on Chiltern Fields. You know Chiltern Fields?
No, don't know.
Okay, so we was tasked with working with young people there. So for 18 months, that pot was focused on that. done while we was working there, so we was looking for older, younger people, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And asking them, once our pot of money's gone, would you want to take it on with our support? And we'll come over and voluntarily come over and give you a month, once a month, come over and give you support. So basically, the young people started managing themselves.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Where do you get the pot of money from now?
So I work for Catch 22, Suffolk Positive Futures. And,
What, is this like a trust or?
yeah, well, Stone Market Council came to us because of problems they was having.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know whether Thetford's got anything that they can come to something like our organisation.
No, well, we'll come and we'll have a look.
Okay,
We've got them in Maidstone, catching too.
sorry?
We've got them in Maidstone, catching too.
Yeah, we're all over the country.
You do tend to find old Thetford, you know, because we're on the border and the district council, we tend to get, you know, if we don't do something ourselves, we're not going to get much off the council. Platitudes and minimums, you know. That's it. Sorry, that lady there.
I was going to say that I thought I read something about a youth centre opening at the top of Raymond Street. You know, on the corner? There's an old council building.
That used to be the old boys' club.
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
Right on the
yeah,
corner,
yeah.
and it's recently, because I think it was like on a Wednesday or something, because they were saying that there was pizza for the kids.
We'll look into that again.
Yeah.
We need to do something, don't we? We need some initiatives.
But if you go back in time to when that building was a youth centre, there was that, what was called the boys' club. We had the youth centre up next to the sports
We
centre.
did, yeah.
We had lots of community places, like there's
Abbey Farm.
one, they're dotted about all over the place, but
Yeah.
now they're not being used because they can't afford to open them up. There's, in the legislation, it's, so the buildings are now empty, but the kids can't go there and do anything because no one's there to run them.
There was the adventure playground at Abbey Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the client ropes. There was a pool club there
Yeah.
back in the day, and they just.
Well, the youth centre was really good, wasn't it?
What,
I think
full-
Keystone
full-
bought 25,000, but then they knocked it down.
Yeah.
I think they just want to put that innovation centre there.
Yeah.
Sod the youth, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
We'll put our
exactly.
own building up
Yeah.
there. You
Well,
know what I mean?
who's enforcing legislation? The councils.
Got it.
Yeah, they all believe in the legislation.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, all roads lead back to the council, don't they? You know what I mean? You get the council that you vote for, or you get the council that you don't vote for.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So-
that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And that's where we are at the minute, isn't it? Yeah. But so Abbey Croft, I've got Terry, I'll get your number before we go, if that's all right, and find out what's happening in Raymond Street. I'd say we've got to have a big, push at that January stag meeting.
Yeah.
The next agenda item, this is interesting. Misuse of public funds at all levels of council. I don't know if you're aware of this. I've only become aware of this through certain situations this week. For those in the audience that don't know, the hand on the tiller, the anchor for the council is the clerk, and you have a deputy town clerk. And basically they get paid to go on lots of courses, they get lots of qualifications, and they advise the councillors what they can and what they can't do, on procedures, and where they can and where they can move money and what they can do. So the town clerk is quite an important person, and it's like the oil in the engine of the town council. However, what we found out now is we now have the form what's called a society for local council clerks, which should be a good thing. However, what we're finding out now, that it's funded to quite a sum. I haven't got the money, the exact monies at the minute. It's funded by the taxpayer, but we've not been asked about it, or asked if we want this society for local council clerks, because the council clerk should be answerable to her councillors through the public. Now, the minute you start getting all these councillor clerks all around the country forming their own
Muddies the waters, isn't it?
their own society, you've got to be careful, because this is what the mayors have done. You know, this is, all the mayors have got this Agenda 21, Agenda 30, you've got these city mayors initiatives. And what they're doing is they're bypassing the normal procedures that we've had forever in the so-called democracy we've got. And they're working together directly to, you know, the NGOs and the corporate people. So it just seems to be that this is the way the council clerks are going at the minute. And this thing seems to be very similar to something called common purpose. I don't know if any of you are aware of common purpose. Just do a little bit of research on common purpose. And that was, again, people working in little secret gangs against the system. But what's happening at the minute is we found out that through the Society for Local Council Clerks, they're now doing a 2-day programme, or a 2-day course, and they're being trained as highly qualified subject matter experts on the agenda, which is climate change. So the town clerks are now being invited to go on this 2-day course, and they get given an official qualification on climate change. Now, I don't know how you can get a qualification on climate change. I will be looking even deeper into this.
So what you're saying is they're using taxpayers' money to go on a course to
And
find
learn
out
about
about a hoax climate change that doesn't exist.
But listen, it gets worse. What they learn when they're on the course, I've been told, is something called climate literacy. Climate literacy. And then what they do is when they come back to their councils all over the country, now, some have done it at the minute and some haven't. When they come back, they then push out a document to the town council. And that document goes to the town councillors. And they then have to do a 2-day course online on the agenda, which is the climate change.
So
So
again,
it's done online with no interaction with anybody else. So you can't descend and ask a question and say, what about this? Well, that's not true. If that's true, you know, so they do it online on their own in order to get their qualification from the town clerk. Now, for people like us that would dissent against the climate change agenda, it just means that, so, you know, all these councillors now will be told they've got to go on the course. It will be interesting to see what will happen if they object and don't go on the course.
I mean, yeah, but if they do go on the course, they want everyone singing off the same hymn sheet, don't they? That's why they're getting everyone to say it. So when everyone tackles them, each councillor can just reel off the same
That's
message.
it, just reading out their parents' flashcards, basically.
Well, I've actually had a look at the subject matter expert that these clerks are getting, and it's explaining how to lower your carbon footprint. And basically, it then gives you a few suggestions on how to lower your carbon footprint. Now, one of them actually is, one of the main points is, have one less child. That is actually on the documentation, is have one less child. You know, you've got to say, what the hell is going on?
Can we get a copy of that document?
I'll get it to
Get
you,
it,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's called the Carbon Literacy Qualification, and in brackets, helps your council tackle the climate emergency.
So it's also a depopulation thing then, is it not actually wanting people to procreate and have more children?
Well, this is the mind boggles, you know, how far it goes. I mean, what I've seen the plan is that once the town council has got the qualification, gets the course going for the councillors, and they then get the qualification, the long-term perspective is some sort of citizens' assemblies to pass the information on down to their constituents. So basically, you know, what we've got here, this is just downright propaganda and indoctrination from top to bottom. You know, now at the minute, this is public money being spent on this. So what we need to find out, I would say, is we now, all of us, need to find out how much money is being spent on this.
Yeah.
Because I would put to you, on what we've just heard from Terry, we could save that money on that absolute rubbish and put it into our kids.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Mhm.
But listen, yeah, especially you members of the public and anybody who's watching at the minute, you need to start digging on this. It's called the Carbon Literacy Qualification. All the town clerks across the country will be going on the course. All your councillors will be doing a 2-day online course in order to start passing the propaganda down to anybody who's gullible enough to swallow it, and it will be costing you money, and your council tax, if you pay it, will be going up.
So they're paying, again, like you say, they're paying taxpayers' money to put everyone on a course to deliver the same message of a climate change, which is a hoax, that what could well be in the future a further lockdown on this hoax of a climate change.
Could
Yeah.
we not set the town
They've
clerks
wrapped it up now.
on notice for pushing?
Yeah.
I think that's a good
Pushing
idea.
this.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Town clerks. Yeah. So what we have to do now is we have to pen a letter to the town clerks
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
And that if it affects anybody's business and they lose livelihood over this, they will be being put on notice because they're
Yes.
the ones who are pushing it because they've
Yeah.
got the qualification.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea.
Last time we mentioned about West Suffolk's only place they measure for all of this is Great Barton Junction. Could we look into where we're southwest, ain't we? Where our data's coming from on all of this as well, put into this.
Yeah.
There's something we can look into.
Well, I think everybody's getting the same data. It's just
Yeah.
just that they're ignoring it.
Yes,
Like I say,
it'd be
you know.
nice if
Yeah.
you know where we're getting our data from for this area, obviously, because
Yeah.
you know it's an absolute joke. One place is gauged over a whole West Suffolk, basically on one junction is where they're getting their data from. So people need to know this. I think we should look in Thetford's or our area, south west of Norfolk, whatever. You know.
Hottest day of the year was
And-
measured in Heathrow Airport, wasn't it, last
Yes, it
Right.
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
year? Behind the jet when it was taken off.
Yeah.
Well, I'd suggest there's two things on this. I think as the public become aware of this, and we've got to make the public aware, because this won't be coming out through the normal platforms. You're not going to get this on the BBC or in the EDP. This will be hidden from the public, so we've got to make sure we push this out. We need to find out how much money is it going to cost us at council level. And the other thing is educate the people to, for those out there who don't know, carbon neutral is not going to be good for plants. I mean, for those who, I didn't do very well at school, but the one thing I remember is that we have what's called,
Carbon-based life.
yeah,
Well, the
That's
whole
right.
planet Earth is.
Yeah, that's right.
but basically the plants and the trees take in the carbon
That's right.
dioxide and they give out oxygen.
That's right. Yeah.
The oxygen is what we breathe,
Yeah.
But we can't live without carbon either.
No.
No, exactly.
Take it out of the atmosphere, we're gone.
Yeah, that's it.
But the actual official, now we need to put pressure again on councillors and explain to the public the actual figures on carbon dioxide in the air at the minute is 0.04.
Yeah.
0.04. It's gone up in the last 20 years from 0.03. That is the official figures. Now, if we go to 0.02, the plants will die. So anybody who's naive enough to be pushing for a carbon neutral, we need to put the pressure on. We can't have carbon neutral because, so we can then put them on notice as your potted plants start to die.
But it goes
And your
deep.
daffodils in your garden.
It goes
you
deep.
can
Everything
come onto
starts to die, and then
Everything
no
starts
one's
to
going to be
die,
able to eat, and we can.
There is a tipping point on that
Yeah.
0.2
Yeah.
or 0.02. Once it gets to that, there's no coming back.
No.
So it needs to be above that
Yeah.
before anyone starts reacting.
Exactly.
But for anybody, if anybody who's listening now and is not quite sure, it's called photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Just get on a search engine and look at photosynthesis, and that is how the plants take in the carbon dioxide and give out the oxygen. And it's all part of the con. And where's the money going to? It's not going to our kids like the gentleman there, Terry said. We could have this money, and what we're doing is we're messing around with council tax money, putting town clerks on courses to come out with propaganda, and we shouldn't be using public money for this. So that's why we had misuse of public funds at all levels of council. So I suggest we all get out there, get more information, and let's put the pressure on the town council. Has the public got any questions on what we've said there?
I think what you need really is to play their game against them.
Yeah.
So what they're doing at the moment, they're upskilling their town clerks in to go and put out the propaganda to the public.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you guys need to get somebody, a specialist who is not on the payroll.
Yeah.
And get them to come here and educate the public. The other side, the opposite side of that, maybe.
It's hard to educate the public because they're, you know,
They're indoctrinated.
yeah. Well, look at our favourite scientist when we were kids, Sally. We're about the same age. Dr. David Bellamy.
Yeah,
Bellamy.
you shut up, didn't they?
And he told them all it was rubbish and they wouldn't let him on the television.
Yeah.
And any scientist who poo-poos this propaganda is not allowed to talk. You know, so yeah, we need to educate, don't we?
I mean, Sandy Adams, I don't know if you guys have heard of Sandy Adams, she actually went to Glastonbury, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And she challenged the company, she gave them so much data, they couldn't say a word. So maybe somebody like her,
Definitely.
I spoke to Sandy from time to time, so I could always give her a call.
Yeah.
Maybe perhaps you can do a Zoom or something off your TV here.
But this is the intriguing thing, though, Terry, is I'm looking at, you know, we spoke on another agenda item, we're not allowed to ask questions here in Norfolk at the higher level. I mean, how did she get the in to ask the question? I mean, did she say she was going to give a presentation and they facilitated it?
I think she done something a bit similar to what Mike done when he went to talk about allotments, and she gave him something different.
Yeah.
Different when she got
Yeah.
But can you see they get wise to us now? If we're going to come in with a question that they're happy with, and where they, you know, but it keeps going back to we're not allowed to ask any questions of our councils. Everything is a closed shop, and we've got to wake up to this, you know.
Yeah. We certainly have.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, the councils are working for the people.
Yeah.
You know, and if they're not representing us, then this is one reason for yourself and council.
Yeah.
We don't want to put pressure on the councillors and the council to actually start listening to the people.
Well, what we're trying to do is scrutinise, Teddy. You know, we spoke about it at the beginning because I know you came in late. What the idea is, we listen to what our council's saying. We meet here, we talk about it for the people, try and educate the people, and then put pressure back on the council. It's hard to put pressure on the council though when they give you this closed period of questions. You know, somewhere along the line, I think we're going to have to actively break out of that. But we need the support of the public.
Absolutely.
But we, you know, we are here to heavily scrutinise now. We are watching everything they do. We're normally, you know, at Breckland they have their own scrutiny committee. You know, it's not external, it's internal. You know, so this is how they get away with everything that they're doing allegedly.
Well, you know how it works, Mark. You've been involved for long enough. I mean, I went to a council meeting with Ipswich Council last Tuesday, and the council spoke to us at the end and said, really pleased to see the public here, because the public don't normally come. So they've had it too easy for too long. And I think the more pressure that the public and you guys put on them, eventually they will start to listen. So it's a slow burner, really.
Yeah.
Well, we're on it anyway, yeah, we're on it. Okay, the last, very important one now, the last agenda item for the evening, the title is the sexualisation of our children by private and public entities. So there's a lot been happening in the town, and you know, we've got, well, first of all, we've got shops. Jeff, do you want to say something about this?
Yeah. Candy kittens. I mean, it's been all over social media. I got put onto it by, again, from social media, Kat Watkins. She's done, she's a Welsh lady, her and Kimberley Isherwood have done a lot for the sexualisation and paedophilia going on around the world for the past 10 or 15 years. And she done a post, she got handed a pack of these. And what they are, they're Jamie Lang's, those of you who know Made in Chelsea, Jamie Lang's the blonde guy, they're his sweets. Now he's got normal sweets, the wild strawberry, I think there's some sour ones, 3 different ones anyway on the shelf. But someone sent her these, and they discovered there's it's tied in these sweets. For one, they've got, let me just show you, they've got condoms in it. So like if you were to take a condom out of the packet, it would look like that. And they've got normal sweets in, which are just the cat ones, you know. But they've mixed them up in there. Also got a condom on the back there, and also a little bit of writing. They've teamed up with Netflix, Sex Education, which is an 18. There's 4 films, and I think the last one came out a month ago. And actually, it's even in the trailer, it's quite sexually explicit. I mean, it's an 18 film, but they've tried to depict that these sweets are, well, they're in the children, if you like, in the sweet section, which they're really aimed at children, but they're trying to say they're adults. And if they were adults, they should have been in a different section. Maybe in Ann Summers, maybe in a sex shop or something like that, but they're not there. But on the back of them, I've wrote it out because the lighting and the eyes aren't quite as good, but it says sweet and sex, they go hand in hand, obviously. After all, they aim to make you feel good, right? So we have teamed up with the hit Netflix show Sex Education to celebrate sex. The fun times, the awkward times, and the downright dirty times. No judgment here, just a whole lot of love. So even on that there, you can hear and what they're actually saying and what's going on about it. Anyway, so I mean, I saw this when she put it out, and it didn't take me to a few days, because we had an outreach about sexualising children in London, which was excellent. And after that, you know, lots of stuff we're posting out on social media. So I never really looked into it. I happened to go into work the previous weekend. I happened to go in another store, I'm saying at work, another store, Tesco store, and I did notice that these candy kittens were on the shelf. So what I did, I pulled them off. There was only about 3 or 4 in. I actually bought all the packets, to be fair, because there was none others on the shelf. And I left a note with the manager in a box, but I managed at the time to speak to the deputy that was there. And she was very good. I explained everything to her. Well, I actually asked her to read the note I was left first of all, and I explained everything to what was going on, sexualisation of the kids and everything else, which she agreed that these were inappropriate, and that she was going to let her RSD know, on the directors and on the general manager, to get this sorted, to see if we can either get it removed off the shelves or put in an appropriate area where it would be away from the sweets so the children couldn't get it. So she done all that, and I happened to get an email. I was up early, and from the general manager, who said he'd be happy for me to come in to speak to him, which I did. And what I did, I mean, obviously I explained about the sweets and that. I explained about the sexualisation in schools 3 to 4 years and above, and also the gender ideology. But what I also explained about, because obviously the seriousness about the children are trying to be sexualised, they're trying to normalise it, and all the paedophilia going on around the world. And I actually I'm not going to go into it too much, because I actually done it on Chris Brooks's LSB Film Productions, explain a bit more about it. But I explained about the sex education was brought into the schools by a man called Alfred Kinsey, who believed all babies were sexual at birth. Now, he was a paedophile, he was gay, but he was also a paedophile, done lots of horrific experiments on young babies from 2 to 3 months old to 15 years. At the same time, John Money, he brought the gender ideology, and I explained that to him as well, and he believed that children were gender neutral at birth, and that the environment dictated whether you wanted to be a boy or a girl. Hence, some showbiz and singers have decided not to name their child whether it's a boy or a girl. I think Paloma Faith is one of them, and I think there are many others. But he was also a paedophile as well. So I explained all that. I explained about the news coming out from the BBC a couple of weeks ago about the rape, paedophiles, and it mentioned burglars as well. They're not going to be in prison because the prisons are overcrowded. So that's a free ticket straight away. About the schools, grooming the kids really to know about sexual issues, penetrative sex, oral sex, and things like that. I even went on about the BBC, because as we know, that housed the people like Jimmy Savile, Gary Glitter, Rolf Harris, to name a few, which went on lots of different things there, and it was covered up. Just to point out, there's a big statue outside the BBC. Eric Gill, he sculpted it, he's a man holding a naked child. He was also a rapist and abused his 2 children and his sister and a dog. So basically, I really wanted to get all that information out to the general manager I spoke to. And in fairness, he listened. intently, to be fair, and he reiterated what the deputy said. We've contacted, there's 3 departments they contacted to let them know what is going on, and he said they'll either remove it or they'll put it to an area where it's more appropriate for adults. Probably, and then on that note, you know, seeing all the social media posts that everyone put out up and down the country, there must have been thousands, so many. I'm sure everyone in here in this room has seen them, which was fabulous. Yeah, you know, I think Zach's done well. He's been in some of the Tesco stores as well, having a moan about these, but also Terry, a member of the audience there, I believe I've seen a post of what Terry's put as well, and other people have done it. So I think the outcry was brilliant. So with me going in on that Monday, then my manager emailed me, on the Friday and said that they'd pulled everything off the shelves store-wide, and I just sent him one back and said, "You sure is it store-wide and they're likely to be back on the shelf again?" He said it's store-wide and it's unlikely they'll be back on the shelf due to the nature of the business, and it was in an EPW, electronic point withdrawal.
Good.
Yeah, so as you can see, candy kittens, I mean, the word kittens, I mean, usually we use it for sexualising ladies, sex kittens, don't they? So they've really played on the whole prospect of the sweet section that he's got with candy kittens, but they probably knew full well they were going to produce this, because obviously I think the first film of the sex education went out 6 or 8 years ago. So, and the last one, 4 in the series, is a month back. So they probably thought on the last one, we'll throw these sweets in, you know, and the kids. But it is, I mean, it's awful, because as I was saying to a few people here, you know, because obviously that's shaped as a condom, so you've got a young child eating that, and it's that, you know what I mean? You can all know what I'm thinking.
These are going to be around the playground like hot stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's just because you hear that they put it to the top shelf for safety. But the kids are going to soon know about this. Being on the playgrounds, there's going to be younger brothers, sisters aware of all this stuff. That's going to be their go-to. They're going to be in the trolley. They're going to be pointing at it, you know. And quite clearly, the damage is still just equally done from the subconscious, which children from 0 to 7, 95% or 90 plus, whatever it is, they're picking all these programs up. So that's what you'll usually find as a section from the manager. So yeah.
We need to make sure, because there are other stores, Morrison's, Asda, Sainsbury's, but there are also other places, Boots as well, the Co-op and other corner shops, and other sweets coming out that are sexualising for the children. So we need to be vigilant. Just to point out, we need to be vigilant on all shops, all stores, all corner shops, all pound shops, and everything really, to go in there and just nicely challenge the managers and say, look, you know, this is what they're selling, this is the problem we're facing.
Where is an appropriate section of Tesco for them sweets?
Well,
there isn't one, is there?
There isn't really. They've got
No.
where they
With
sell
the
the
alcohol.
condoms and vibrators, and but I was surprised actually when I went in. I said to the manager about that, and I said that I thought there was an age limit even on that, but there isn't. So obviously, if a young child's picking something up, they would know the quiz. But some children look older than what they look, don't they? Really? So it's a little bit of a worry that there's no age limit on there.
You know, you've got sugar, sex and contraceptions in sweet forms in a public area for all ages here. I mean, it's absolute crazy. The security side of things is a major worry as well. I mean, for something like that to get on the shelves, I mean, don't we check this sort of stuff?
And the sad thing is as well, because I mean, you're always going to get it anyway, but when you look at some of what people have answered back, they say, well, no, I don't know what you're on about. It's, you know, for children, you know, they're all right. Yeah, really. You know, so people aren't.
If it has sex on the sweet wrapper,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be in that sweet wrapper.
No,
Well, exactly.
It should be in the condoms. Because it's got the word sex on it.
There you go. It does.
Simple as.
And even when you read that first bit, sweet and sex, I mean, you know, you know.
I think the
I
public
never
mum,
known what's in
And
there.
it's well highlighted on the front as well. It's sex education, so it's not, you know.
I think the public mums and dads need to, when they're doing the daily, weekly shop, they need to be looking out for this stuff and
Yes.
putting the staff, the duty managers under pressure.
Yeah.
So give Tesco a pat on the back for
That's
doing
right.
it, but let's
But
see.
even if the shops haven't got them on the shelves, ask them to check their stock out
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they've got them in the boxes. And then fortunately, some of the places I went to, they said they won't put those ones out. They'll only put the ones without those logos on.
But a step in the right direction that Tesco have pulled them,
Yeah.
and let's hope that the other stores.
Yeah.
Morrison's,
No, I agree.
or,
And I just want to say for everyone while we're here, that a big thank you to everyone who's who posted out, because the turnaround was pretty quick, I think, as we got. Once the momentum picked up, although, because like I say, Kat, she posted that a week ago, but once it kicked in, the momentum was quick and everyone done their bit, and they shut it down. So, yeah, on that note, Tesco did really well, and hopefully it might form a precedent for some of the other stores. I know some of them are being a bit...
It's got to really, because at the end of the day, if we're here for the protection of our children, this is not fit content for any shelf where they're being put.
No.
And we've shown everyone from the visual side of things with the footage, it only takes half an hour of your time. You know?
Talking about fit content, that takes us on to what's happening in
Well,
the bookshop.
Yeah, roughly sort of similar sort of activity really. I've wrote a few bits down of what I've experienced. We've done 7 Waterstones since the summer. We've revisited one of them as well. But usually what you'll find is...
This is the big Waterstones.
Yeah,
Everybody
Waterstones.
uses
Yeah,
it,
well, there's
yeah.
280 of them in England. Could be the UK, England. But so yeah, but we've done 7 of them, and usually what you'll find is they won't engage. You'll get the books in there, and they don't usually engage with you too well about it. It's more down as a view sort of thing. So and hiding behind the corporation, which is obviously Waterstones. So the tactic behind that is...
What's in the bookshop?
Oh, well, you could go into detail with that, but basically, usually in the baby sections, I mean, one example, you've got the ABC, Equality for Kids. In there, you've got G for Gender, L for LGBTQ, I for Immigration. You've got S for Sex, T for Transgender. This is just one book. We're pulling 4 to 5 books off.
How old? How old?
This is the baby section, 0 to 3. Always at sort of an adult sort of knee level. The child's easy reach height. They're all obviously comic, inviting like. And that's just one book, for example. And like I said, each time I come across another one, pronoun for kids. Yeah, well, not kids, sorry, in the baby sections. 0 to 3s again. We've got Pride as well, getting pushed in their faces. All comic like, reach height, these sort of things.
How to give consent?
Yeah, consent. Obviously, the agency's the alternative word for this as well. So, but people need to get out and start looking, because these have been there for a while now. Like I said, we've done 7 stores. The same patterns keep on happening. When we say this to the staff, basically they say we don't have rights where this stuff gets stacked. So it's a computer model that's pushing this. We quite clearly say each time, well, whoever's pushing the buttons on the keyboards, marking paedophilia, obviously, quite clearly. And you'll never really get no direction to really go other than to hit the corporation. So it is key. You need to be speaking to whoever's acting as manager on the day, obviously, to hit them in their, give them personal notice in a living man or woman, basically. But going even further than this, ideally you want to be going for the main CEO of Waterstones, which we know is James Dewan, if that's how you say his name. He's got a CBE as well, and he's involved in Barnes and Noble. And
what's his name again?
Well, it's James, and I'm saying Dewan. My pronunciations probably ain't nowhere near, but so I think it makes sense. Ideally we want people out there like the sweets hitting this ASAP, because it only takes half an hour of your time. It's and everyone can do it in their own little areas. This is something that could actually be wrapped up tomorrow if we all just got up in our areas.
Can't we email or get in touch with the CEO?
Yeah, 100%. That has to be done. He's the main guy. This is all on his shoulders at the end of the day. An email to him, make him aware. Are you aware? Put it all across in the right manner of everything, and give him 14 days a professional way to reply. Obviously, if we don't hear anything, then that's moral grounds to come in for further action, basically. So that's the way to go forward on this. But like I said, these have been here for quite a while, so we need people getting in and challenging them.
Head office, Zach.
Sorry?
Would you not go straight to Waterstones head office?
You can. This is what they try and get roped into, sort of thing, and it gets fused out that way. So I would suggest to people, if they're happy to use their job title over their moral compass, ideally you want the acting manager for the day, if not the manager if they're in store, down as the living man, living woman in their personal capacity. So keep it black and white. Are the books going on the shelf, or are they not? And And usually you won't get into a debate with them. Half of what I've noticed is they won't even look into the books. Straight away you're down as a viewer, you're an outsider, you're alienated, all of the rest of it, the usual, you know, what we've experienced.
What they did, because I bought 2 of the books, I remember 2 months ago, and the first one out that we saw was one called "It's Perfectly Normal." Now I remember checking in Norwich store at Waterstones to see if that book was there, because I was going to buy it, and it wasn't. She said looks like they've changed the name a bit, and then they changed it to Let's Talk About Sex. So I got the Perfectly Normal online and bought the Let's Talk About Sex book in Norwich, but it's exactly the same content in both. So they must have tried to be a bit clever. Maybe they had previous complaints, I don't know. But in there, like Zach says about some of the books, the content in there it shows cartoons, but it's graphic. It shows naked. It shows young lads playing with themselves. It talks about anal sex, oral sex. It even mentioned in there that children are sexual from birth, and it you know,
Go in it.
naked pictures and all that, you know, and that age range is from 10 to 14. So you can see the problem, what's going on really with these books, as well as the candy kittens and things like that. We did an outreach, if you remember, I think there was a few of you there in Bury with Aaron Leaves. It's been big on this sexualisation. A few of our group were there, and outside the Waterstones in Bury, which is really good, because he'd previously gone in there and they don't stock any of the books, so which is really good. But again, the amount of stores that you said, Zach, there's a lot to get through.
Correct what you
And
said.
no, I was just going to say that the thing is, what people don't realise, I mean, paedophilia, as we know growing up, has been rife for a long time, but the extent of paedophilia, it goes deep and it goes right into it. And what the problem is, everything now is aimed at the kids, and they're getting sexualised in any which way you turn, through books, through sweets, through what's on the TV, through, I mean, basically everything, in songs, in films, in everything, even in clothing. You look at the LGBTQ plus movement, you look at the young kids, girls' clothing, all pretty lovely colours, rainbow and stuff. But what people don't realise, and again, it's all evidence back, the LGBTQ plus movement is a paedophilia movement. It's aimed at the children. And the thing about it, the gay pride, that, you know, lesbian, gay, fine, it's fantastic what they've done. The LGBTQ, the movement has brought it together, and they're not happy. We spoke to many outreaches in London and local level, and they're not happy they've been teamed up in that, because they realise what the movement is, the paedophilia movement, and they're really not happy, and that's the bad thing about it, really. It really is to sexualise the kids, and it really is a major problem.
I think listening to, you know, what we're seeing and what we're hearing, I think the parents have got to be aware that I think the next move, they'll try and lower the age of consent.
Yes, I agree.
That will
They
be
Yeah.
that will be the move, and every parent who gets a chance to listen to this should be aware of that. And nearest crocodiles to the canoe, as we're saying, no, we've had a result with Tesco's, which I'm hoping will flow into the other major stores. But from a Waterstones point of view, I'll just throw it out there, this is probably going to be the busiest time of year. It's Christmas. Everybody gets...
Boycott them. Don't spend your money in them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Same way you do it.
That's right, before you interrupted me, that's what I'm just about to say, young lady. Because it's the busiest time of year, they need to be hit in the pocket like all these woke other institutions, you know, Gillette and everything. Why can't we start off for those of you who are, you know, really good, keep that hashtag boycott. Waterstones for Christmas.
Yes, just hammer out loads of posts on social media.
Has anyone checked the supermarkets? They sell kiddies' books. Are there any of these books in the supermarkets?
Libraries, actual school, the school libraries are going to be...
Stay on one thing though. Supermarkets, libraries is slightly different because you're going into the public sector, not the private sector. You with me? To a certain extent. But I mean, next time we go into the stores, let's find out if we can, if they've got any books. But Waterstone seems to mean the main culprit at the minute.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Hashtag,
Yes.
Yeah.
boycott.
Do some videos, do everything.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
And this email should only take 14 days anyway to get a response at the latest. Ideally, you'd expect them to reply on our
Well,
series
let us have it and I'll
straight
email
away.
them as well.
Straight away.
Just let us have the
Yeah, we've got
email.
all the details.
I'll
So
I'll phone them up
we have
tomorrow.
phone numbers, emails, anything anyone can do. Let's keep the pressure on because we're dealing with kids here, you know.
Any other points from the public there on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so when you're looking for these books, so you've got books that are aged, the publisher says that they've been written with, say, like 14 to 18 or 3 to 6, but what you're actually finding is these books are actually being put in the actual baby section, the 0 to 3 toddlers,
Yeah.
and the 3 to 6 little ones.
Mm.
And they're right there so they can see them. So don't expect to go and find these books about, with the inappropriate language, you won't find them where they should be. They're with the baby stuff,
Yeah.
hitting them young.
Yeah, and back to that as well. With the reference, they can be scattered anywhere. For instance, we had let's talk about consent next to a cut out baby.
years.
Yeah, it was just 14 to 18, which consent to 16 anyway. So you can see the getting the foot in the door with the program in there, obviously. But next to the babies, but on the bottom shelf, we've got an actual photo of this as well. So behaviour comes from perception, as we all know, and it's all tactics. So we've got to check all of the shelves.
So we're gonna share the name of the CEO house.
Yeah,
We'll get in touch with the CEO, ask him what's going on, find out what his thoughts are. Once we find out what he thinks, we'll put him under pressure, and at the same time, we can start a campaign off to boycott.
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
Great, at least we're getting somewhere with that, yeah.
Would it be a good idea to let him know that that is
The plan?
the
No,
plan?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the plan.
And he'd have to react or at least
Yeah.
yeah.
respond to your email. Yeah.
You'd have to, yeah, definitely.
And I've got about 10,000 people, like, started off with straight away, so that.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
Can I just, I'm just going to plug an outreach, which is to do with the sexualisation of children. We've got an outreach in London, another one, we're trying to do them once a month. Possibly won't do the Christmas one, but we may do a local one. But yeah, so an outreach in London, Saturday the 25th of November. It's at 12 p.m. and it's going to start at Marble Arch. We will be hitting Waterstones in London, that's on the list. And probably Balenciaga, and then finish back up at the BBC. So please, everyone who wants to come to it, please do, and everyone who's outraged by the candy kittens and have posted up and down the country, you're more than welcome to turn up. It'd be great to see you there if you can. If we get some good numbers up, we had a great outreach last month, so if we could get the same again, it'd be fantastic, or more, because it was vastly important. They're trying to sexualise the kids at every single angle, and as soon as people wake up, as in mums, dads, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, you name it, then we'll get more on the move, and we'll be able to try and put an end to this. Because I do believe if they do get the kids, then everything else, net zero, your climate change, I think that's, that's done and dusted then. So we really have to do this and save the children.
Yeah.
We're on it.
Definitely.
With Aaron Lee says as well.
Right, so that's all on the agenda items. Is there anything from the... Right, we've left that one now.
Can I go back to something else that was mentioned earlier about the allotments and stuff?
Yeah.
Right, so is there a waiting list for the allotments? If so, is it worth the secretary contacting them to let them know that they're on a waiting list for something that may never happen? And all these groups are like the allotments and like, say, the youth services, if you're concerned about the crime, is it worth personally inviting them to these meetings and letting them know you're discussing the allotments, get all the residents that have got an allotment and tell them to come up here, because this is about them.
Yeah. I'll be in touch with the guys I know that are on that.
Yeah, we do expect more and more to start turning up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But they don't know about it. The people that you're talking about need to be here.
Yeah, but
It'll
it's
be-
easier said than done, isn't it?
It's unfolding.
It's in motion, I'd say. But the great thing is everybody will see what on this platform, we'll get it out to everybody. So,
Have you got any flyers? going around with the Southern Council.
Work in progress.
Because one of the, again, let's talk about kids. Okay, I mean, I'm a granddad, so I don't go to schools anymore. I'll pick up the grandkids. But if you've got parents that go to schools and you've got flyers,
Yeah.
just promote the Southern Council, hand it out to other parents.
Yeah.
And that'll be a way of getting it out there, what's
Yeah.
going on here.
Yeah, and that this is a focal point to come and speak about it if they're not happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the same way as they're taking advantage of the kids, you know, we can use it for the positives.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So that's it. Next thing on the list is community engagement. And straight away we've got that. So we can look at flyers. We've got the platform of the meeting tonight. And has anybody else got any other ideas of getting the information out? I still think we can work on some sort of flyer about ourselves for everybody in town, just to let them know we're here.
Yeah.
And I think that'll,
No, yeah, that'd be good. What, introducing us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Something that you, me and Laura spoke about yesterday,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a little bit about yourselves, about
Yeah.
your background and
Yeah.
what you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
who's
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Opens it up, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
good.
Then and that's where trust starts to come in.
Exactly.
If we get a backstory of everybody here,
Yeah.
then they'll have a bit more trust and confidence.
I'll have to be careful on what I say because we'll have the disease down from the collar. Is that where he's hiding? Well, at that point, I'm happy to close the meeting and thank everybody for coming and thanks to the public. Thank you very
Brilliant,
much.
well
Thank
done.
you.
Well done.
Well done.
How do we do, Chris?
All right.